Hey everyone, I'm Anime Octopus, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're diving into an exciting fanfic scenario. What if Naruko faced off against Team Aqua and Team Magma? Disclaimer, the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's jump right in. It was a dark night in Lily Cove City. Everyone slept peacefully in their homes, and all the stores were quiet and closed. But the same could not be said for the Pokémon that crept silently through the streets. Two figures moved carefully across the town, one running, the other flying. The running Pokémon carried a small basket in her mouth, while the flying one held an incubator gently in her claws. Under a streetlight, their forms became clear. The running Pokémon was a large brown lion with green eyes and a mane streaked with red and yellow, shining like fire. She was a female Pyroar. The flying Pokémon was a large crow with a white chest, piercing red eyes, and a small, odd hat perched on her head, a haunch crow. They arrived at the Uzumaki residence, gently setting down the basket and incubator in front of the door. Pyroar paused, glancing at Honchcrow, then at the tiny occupant of the basket. Inside, a baby with tufts of bright red hair and sparkling blue eyes peered up at them with curiosity. Pyroar gave a proud, playful smirk, banged her paw softly on the door, and the two Pokémon disappeared into the night. Moments later, the door swung open. A tall man with tan skin and short, spiky white hair rubbed his eyes. Who's knocking at this hour? Oh. He looked down at the basket and incubator. Looks like Kushina got a new little sister. This was the beginning of the story of Naruko Uzumaki. 8 years later, a lively girl with tan skin and short, spiky red hair, highlighted with a streak of orange over her left eye, lay asleep in a sunny clearing near a sparkling lake. 6 whisker-like marks adorned her cheeks, and around her neck hung an orange scarf with a small red swirl, alongside a delicate pink crystal dangling from a black thread. Naruko was the adopted daughter of Evan Uzumaki, a former champion of Hoenn celebrated for his clever strategies with Pokémon, and Mito Uzumaki, a graceful stage coordinator known for her mastery of water-type Pokémon. She was also the younger sister of Kushina Uzumaki, a fiery, ambitious girl training to become a top coordinator herself. Around Naruko, several Pokémon slept peacefully. A Baniri, a Flaffy, a Ralts, a Zigzagoon, a Pidgey, and even a Milotic basking in the lake's sunlight, all trusted companions under her mother's watchful care. A small golden fox with 9 tails padded softly toward Naruko, tail swaying with delight. Following her were a 6-tailed Vulpix, a graceful Swanna with silky wings, and a tiny Furret, bouncing joyfully. Fennekin, the little fox called, flicking her tail proudly. Vol? Asked the golden Vulpix with a curious tilt of her head. Swanna, cooed the swan, gently nudging the little Furret. The Furret scampered over and curled up on Naruko's chest, sighing in contentment. The other Pokémon settled around her, Swanna tucked beneath her like a soft pillow, Vulpix curling beside her, and Fennekin draping herself across Naruko's shoulder. Suddenly, a shadow fell over the clearing. A girl with long, flowing red hair, dressed in a simple apron and jeans, scowled at the sleeping Naruko. Her amethyst eyes sparkled with gentle mischief, and a purple diamond around her neck caught the sunlight. Wake up, she whispered sharply, pressing her face near Naruko's ear. The Pokémon jumped in surprise, scattering slightly before returning to their places. Naruko blinked open her bright blue eyes to see her sister smiling warmly down at her. Hey, Kushina-nichan, Naruko said sleepily, rubbing her eyes. What's going on? Kushina laughed, and Naruko grinned. Before she knew it, the two sisters were tumbling playfully toward the house, the Pokémon following closely. They arrived just as a gentle, tall woman with 2 hair buns, the same shade of red as her daughters, stepped inside. What did I say about running in the house? Mito Uzumaki chided kindly, though her eyes twinkled with amusement. She knelt to greet the Pokémon, making sure Swanna and Furret were safely returned. Evan Uzumaki, seated nearby, laughed quietly. They were just having fun. Naruko probably fell asleep outside like she always does. Mito huffed, adjusting her apron. I know, but we have guests coming today. And they have children around Naruko's and Kushina's ages. Naruko exchanged a glance with Kushina, who frowned slightly. Mom, is it that Minato boy again? Mito shook her head, smiling gently. No, Kushina. But today is going to be a fun day. Let's get ready to welcome our guests, and maybe make a few new friends along the way. Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. She loved meeting new people and Pokemon alike. Today promised laughter, adventure, and plenty of playful mischief, and she couldn't wait to see what surprises awaited her. Flashback. Come on, Mito, just do it already, an 18-year-old Hashirama Senju said, tugging gently on Mito's arm as he led her away from her birthday party. He had admired Mito from afar for a long time. Not to say he hadn't made a few mistakes in the past, but tonight, he hoped she might see him differently. Mito's brows furrowed as she looked down at her hair, now falling softly to the middle of her back. I'm not sure about this, she said. Her friends had whispered about Hashirama's mischief, and she wanted to understand why he had acted the way he did. Hashirama's expression shifted, not into anger, but a pleading sort of determination. I've liked you for so long, he said, almost too quietly, and I want you to know. Mito's eyes widened, but before she could answer, a protective figure appeared. Evan, her longtime friend, stepped in, standing tall between her and Hashirama. Behind Evan appeared 3 more girls, each radiating a unique and powerful aura. These were Mito's closest friends and guardians, the 4 tyrants. There was Mina, the Earth Tyrant, steady and strong; Gale, the Sky Tyrant, calm and clever; Pyrrha, the Flame Tyrant, bold and bright; and Mito herself, the Sea Tyrant, wise beyond her years despite her playful nature. Evan cracked his knuckles lightly and smiled at the girls. Would you all mind giving us a moment? Mina crossed her arms. Why do you get all the fun? Because the last thing Mito needs right now is someone making her feel pressured, Evan said, firmly but kindly. Hashirama tried to protest, but Evan's steady presence and the support of the 4 tyrants made him pause. I've liked Mito since we were kids, he admitted, almost embarrassed. But I want her to be happy, no matter what. Mito blushed at the sincerity in Evan's voice. She felt warmth, safety, and care, all from someone who truly understood her. Hashirama's protests faded as Evan helped him understand that kindness and patience mattered more than rushing someone's heart. Back in the present, the Uzumaki household was alive with laughter. Naruko, a spirited girl with a golden heart and a mischievous streak, raced around, searching for her favorite Pokemon. I can't find Chris, Naruko exclaimed, her brow furrowed in concern. Chris, her special Pokemon, had been with her since she was 4, hatching from a white, black, and pink egg that had brought joy to the Uzumaki family for years. Evan, ever calm, tossed her a small blue puffin with pink sprinkles. Catch. Before Naruko could react, a blur of gray and pink leapt into her arms. Chris, the playful Diancie Pokemon, nuzzled into Naruko's chest, happily munching the puffin. She sparkled with her crystalline beauty, a jewel Pokemon full of energy, curiosity, and a hint of mischievous pride, especially around Naruko. Naruko laughed, hugging Chris. Hey, Chris. You always know how to find the fun. Evan tilted his head as he watched. Which friends are you talking about coming over? Mito smiled nervously. Mina, Pyrrha, and Gale? Just then, a soft knock sounded at the door. The adventure, and a very special visit, was about to begin. The ex-champion bolted out of the room before Mito could open the door. She yelled, every trainer for themselves. As loud sounds began echoing through the house, her Pokemon had just woken up. Naruko looked toward Kushina, who simply gave her a puzzled shrug. When Mito opened the door, 3 women stepped inside, each accompanied by a child around Naruko's age. One woman had long, flowing chocolate brown hair and green eyes behind pink glasses. Another had fiery red hair in a ponytail and bright blue eyes. The last had grayish blue hair in a neat bob. Naruko's breath caught as she looked at what she assumed were their daughters. Mito. The women cried, wrapping her in a big group hug. Hey girls, how have you been? Mito asked, smiling as they separated from the hug. Her eyes then softened as she turned to the 3 little girls trailing behind their moms. And who are these little ones? Mina's daughter spoke first. Her chocolate brown hair was styled in cute loops and buns, and her ruby red eyes sparkled with curiosity. Hi, my name is Roxanne. It's nice to meet you. She wore shorts with a brown school dress and looked around Naruko's age. Next to her shifted a small green Pokemon with a red belly and a single horn on its head. It seemed shy, glancing around nervously. And this is Larvitar, she added softly. Flannery's daughter came next, her fiery hair flaring out from her ponytail and her bright eyes matching Roxanne's. She wore jeans and a black shirt, looking a few months older than Naruko. I'm Flannery. It's so nice to meet you, she said, half whisper, half shout. Next to her stood a dark blue Pokemon with red spots and a creamy belly. And this is Cyndaquil. Gale's daughter followed, her grayish-blue hair swaying as she spoke confidently, I'm Winona. Nice to meet you. She wore black jeans and a blue shirt dotted with fluffy white clouds. Cradled in her arms was a white Pokémon with a crown-shaped head and a shell-like body. This is my Togepi. Mito grinned, they're adorable. They really are just like their mothers. And now, you should meet my children, Kushina and Naruko. Naruko waved shyly. Nice to meet you all, Dada Bane, she said, pointing to her little Pokémon companions, Kurama the Vulpix and Vix the Fennekin. Hi, Kushina added with a grin. She pointed to her Diancie, Chris, who scoffed and floated behind her, glaring over her shoulder. Do you girls want to play? Kushina asked. The girls nodded eagerly, and soon the clearing outside was filled with laughter as the children ran alongside their Pokémon. The mothers chuckled, and Mina said with a teasing grin, they're so sweet. I hope their friendships last as long as ours have. She adjusted her glasses, her expression turning playful yet fierce. Now, where's that wimp of a husband of yours, Mito? I heard that you brute of a woman, Evan shouted from his hiding spot, prompting Mina to chase him with mock fury. The house echoed with playful shouts and crashes as old friends teased one another. Meanwhile, in a quiet clearing, Naruko knelt beside Larvitar while Togepi napped gently in her lap. Cyndaquil, Flannery's shy Pokémon, curled up nearby. Chris, her Diancie, pouted but eventually softened as Naruko gently stroked her gem-like forehead. Larvitar has never been so calm around strangers, Roxanne whispered in awe. Cyndaquil is usually timid, Flannery said, smiling. But she seems comfortable with Naruko. Winona giggled. I can't believe she got Togepi to fall asleep. She's usually so energetic. Naruko smiled as she scratched Kurama's and Vix's ears. All Pokémon relax around me. Well, unless they're really upset. And when I sing, everything becomes peaceful. Naruko looked up at the three girls. You all take such good care of your Pokémon. Would you like to be friends? The girls nodded enthusiastically, though Chris shook her head in protest and flailed her arms. Naruko gently petted her forehead again, calming the jewel Pokémon. What are your dreams? Naruko asked, curiosity bright in her eyes. Roxanne twiddled her fingers nervously. I want to be a teacher, a gym leader, and the strongest rock-type trainer alive. Flannery grinned widely. I want to surpass my grandpa, who was part of the Elite Four, and run my own gym one day. Winona smiled dreamily. I want to soar through the skies with my Pokémon and meet all the flying types. Kushina put a finger to her temple. I'm not sure yet. But I want to be as strong as Ka-chan and To-chan in my own way. Just as Naruko began to respond, the ground rumbled beneath them. A herd of large, gray, rocky Pokémon, Rhyhorn, charged from the forest, their purple misty eyes full of confusion. Everybody move, Naruko shouted, thinking fast. She guided the children to safety while splitting off to distract the Rhyhorn. Baniri, stay close. She called to a small brown bunny Pokémon she'd rescued. Together, they darted through the clearing as the herd pursued her. Naruko was brave, quick, and clever, shielding the little Baniri from harm. One Rhyhorn used Rock Throw, causing her to stumble. She rolled safely, her heart racing, and tossed Baniri toward her friends to protect it. Naruko. Diancie. Chris's voice was the last thing she heard as a blinding flash enveloped the clearing. When the light faded, Naruko lay face first in a wide crater. Around her, the Rhyhorn were knocked gently aside, safe but dazed. Her eyes glowed golden for a moment before returning to normal. Everyone was amazed. Mina gasped, what just happened? Evan's eyes were wide. Could it be Naruko? He murmured, sensing a hidden strength in her. Baniri looked back at her once, with curiosity and awe, before limping into the forest to recover. Naruko's friends, family, and Pokémon gathered around, amazed at the courage and kindness she had shown. From that day on, Naruko wasn't just known as Mito's child or Kushina's sibling, she became a legend in her own right, the girl whose heart was as bright as the Pokémon she loved. -6 years later. Ni-chan. Ni-chan. Wake up. Naruko cracked her eyes open to see two little girls bouncing on her bed. One was a girl with short red hair, around 5, wearing a white headband and green eyes like her mother's, while the other had long white hair and Mito's soft purple eyes. Honoka-chan, Eva-chan, get off, Naruko mumbled, pulling the covers over her head, only for the two girls to land on her stomach with a giggle. All right, you little monsters, I'm up, she laughed, tossing the covers off. The twins giggled even more and ran off to play with their parents' Pokemon. Naruko had changed a lot in 6 years. Her red hair had grown just past her shoulders, and the bright orange streak in her bangs now fell softly to the side of her face. Her frame had grown taller, more like her father's, and she stood at 5'7". Her outfit had mostly stayed the same since childhood, except for a burnt orange jacket with black linings that fit her perfectly. "Naru-chan. Wake up." Mito called from downstairs. "You need to get to Little Root Town in an hour. Your To-chan's salamence won't wait forever." Naruko groaned but smiled as the twins ran off, ready for their new adventure. She quickly changed while her partner, Chris, the jewel Pokemon, stirred awake and yawned beside her. Naruko pulled out the Cherish Ball and held it toward Chris. "Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime?" "Diane asked Diancie." The jewel Pokemon replied, wrapping her arms around Naruko and remembering the day they first met. Flashback. A 4-year-old Naruko had watched her sister Kushina battling their mother, Mito, while holding the incubator she was found in. On Kushina's side were her Vulpix and Fennekin, matching skill against Mito's graceful Milotic and sparkling Vaporeon. "Vaporeon, use Water Pulse." "Milotic, Blizzard," Mito commanded. A massive wave of water rose from Vaporeon, transforming into a frozen tidal wave. "Vix, Flamethrower." "Kurama, Inferno," Kushina shouted. Her Vulpix released a spiral of fire while Fennekin's flame split the icy wave, holding it at bay. Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. "One day, we'll battle like that too," she whispered, taking the oddly colored egg from its capsule. The egg began to glow warmly, catching the attention of her mother and sister. Slowly, the egg changed shape, and suddenly, Naruko was tackled to the ground by a tiny, glittering Pokemon snuggling into her chest. "Diancie," it said, looking into Naruko's bright blue eyes with adoring red ones. Mito and Kushina gasped at the sight of the legendary Pokemon curled up with their little Naruko. As they approached, they were playfully pelted with sparkling diamonds from the joyful Pokemon. Kushina, who had inherited her mother's fiery spirit, exclaimed, "What's the big idea?" The Diancie pulled down her eyelid and blew Kushina a playful raspberry, hugging Naruko's neck tightly. Mito's eyes softened in understanding. It seems Naruko's new friend is very protective of her. "But how did it hatch?" Kushina asked, still bewildered. The Diancie showered her Pokemon with sparkling affection as well. "It did hatch," Mito said gently. Ever since she could talk, Naruko spoke to the egg every single day. Naruko rubbed the jewel on top of Diancie's head. "You deserve a name. I'll call you Chris. How does that sound?" The Diancie cheered happily, embracing her new trainer tightly. End flashback. Naruko smiled as she gently returned Diancie to her cherished ball before rushing downstairs. Dash. "Do you have everything?" "Yes, Ka-chan. An extra pair of rations to last you until you get to Petalburg City?" "Hi. You got your extra pack of clothes?" "Yes, Ka-chan." Mito grinned playfully. "And what about a way to protect yourself from trouble while out on your journey?" "Ka-chan," Naruko exclaimed, cheeks flushing pink. Mito laughed softly and gave her a warm hug. "It feels like just yesterday we found you, and now you're off on your own adventure. Call us once you reach Little Root, and be careful, Team Magma and Team Aqua have been causing a stir. If you see Kushina, tell her to call home, we worry about you." Soon, Eva, Honoka, and even Evan joined in the group hug. A few minutes later, Naruko soared through the sky on the back of a large bluish-gray dragon with a long neck and red wings. Its 4 short legs ended in clawed feet, and its tail stretched far behind it. Its sharp ears looked almost like horns, and 4 fangs peeked from its jaw. This was a salamence, specifically her father's salamence, one of the fastest flyers in the Pokemon world. Unbeknownst to Naruko, she was being observed by a mysterious Pokemon. Its sheathed form was dark brown with curved lines across its surface. When unsheathed, it looked like a gleaming silver sword, with a gemstone shaped like an eye on the hilt and a long, swirling dark blue cloth attached to the pommel. A small camera rested atop the handle. Nearby, a pair of glasses caught the sunlight as the figure lounged on a couch, legs dangling over the edge. "So that's Naruko Uzumaki. Well, this mission will be interesting," the figure mused. Dash. A few hours later, Naruko waved goodbye as the salamence disappeared into the distance, returning to Lily Cove. "Now, where did Professor Birch say I should meet him?" she wondered aloud, wandering through Little Root Town. "Someone please help." A panicked voice shouted from the nearby forest. Naruko dashed toward the noise to see a slightly plump man climbing a tree, being chased by a small, hyena-like Pokemon with gray fur, a black face, and yellow eyes. A Poochyena. Naruko blinked. She could handle the situation, but she also couldn't resist seeing a new Pokemon in action. Professor Birch spotted her and waved. "Could you grab a Pokemon from my bag to help calm down that Poochyena?" Naruko opened the bag and selected the far right Pokeball. "Come on out," she called. A small, blue, quadruped Pokemon with a light blue underside appeared. Its head was large with a fin on top, its tail fin flicked in the breeze, and orange, star-shaped gills adorned its cheeks. Mudkip. It greeted cheerfully. Naruko knelt down, gently patting the mudfish Pokemon. "Hello, Mudkip. I'm Naruko. It's nice to meet you." She quickly dodged a playful splash of water. "Oops, my bad. Can you help calm down that Poochyena before it hurts anyone?" she asked. Mudkip nodded eagerly. "All right, Mudkip. Water gun to get its attention." Mudkip fired a stream of water at the Poochyena, hitting it squarely on the back of the head. The Poochyena barked and charged, only for Mudkip to slide under it and tackle it into the bushes. "Great job, Mudkip." Naruko cheered as her new companion jumped in excitement. The man slid down from the tree and dusted himself off. "Remarkable. You and your Pokemon work well together. I'm Professor Birch." "So you're the Professor Ka-chan mentioned. Nice to meet you. I'm Naruko Uzumaki," she said, smiling as Mudkip climbed onto her shoulder. Birch's eyes widened in recognition. "Ah. You're Mito and Evan's daughter. I have a small favor, my daughter left her Pokédex at the lab. Could you deliver it to her when you see her? You can keep this Mudkip as your starter Pokemon, she seems to like you." Naruko clenched her fist in excitement. "I think I'll call you Mimi." "Mudkip." Mimi chirped happily, nuzzling Naruko's cheek. Just then, Diance's Cherish Ball opened, releasing the Jewel Pokemon. It stared at the new Pokemon team, then gracefully touched Naruko's shoulder with a sparkling gem. Naruko laughed softly. "I have a feeling this adventure is going to be full of surprises." "Mimi, use Water Gun. Dodge it, Sheik, and use Ember." "Use Water Gun on the ground," Naruko shouted as her Mudkip shot water at the earth, creating a small wave that shielded Mimi from the sparks of fire. Across the clearing, a small orange and yellow chicken-like Pokemon leapt, its feathers flickering with flames. This was Torchic, the fire-type starter of the Hoenn region. Its trainer was a girl with chestnut brown hair and two large tails, held with an orange clip, and sparkling blue eyes. She wore a golden-yellow sleeveless shirt under a blue vest, paired with black biker shorts beneath a white and blue skirt. A red bandana rested around her neck, and a blue beret perched jauntily on her head. "All right, Sheik, use Scratch," she commanded. Torchic darted forward, ruffling its tiny feathers and managed to land a solid hit on Mudkip. Naruko smiled as Mimi shook off the blow. "Mimi, charge in with Tackle." "Sheik, dodge it," the trainer called, and Torchic leapt into the air to avoid the attack. "Mimi, now use Water Gun while she's caught off guard," Naruko urged. "Mudkip." Mimi cheered, spraying a jet of water that lightly tapped Torchic's side, making the little Pokemon stumble to one knee. Both Pokemon panted heavily, they had been battling for nearly 20 minutes straight. Naruko clapped her hands, bringing the battle to a pause. "All right, that's enough for now. Your Torchic is amazing, Sapphire." Sapphire, as she preferred to be called, smiled but looked slightly miffed at the battle ending early. Her full name was May Sapphire Birch, but everyone close to her simply called her Sapphire. She had challenged Naruko after Naruko had kindly delivered her forgotten Pokédex. She found herself impressed, not just by Naruko's skill, but by her kindness, a rare combination among trainers she had met recently. "What's your dream?" Naruko asked, gently patting Mimi's fin. Sapphire thought for a moment. "My dream is to become the very best trainer in the Hoenn region and win the Pokemon League," she said, her eyes shining like the flames of Torchic. Naruko chuckled softly. "That's an amazing dream, but..." "But what?" Sapphire asked. "But you'll have to defeat me first," Naruko said with a playful grin. Sapphire matched her grin. "Same goes for you. Don't lose unless it's to me." They both laughed, the excitement of friendly rivalry sparkling between them. "Will you be competing in the junior tournament in Rustboro City?" Naruko asked. Sapphire nodded. "I'll see you in the finals, then." Naruko couldn't resist a small slip. "Dada Bane," she exclaimed, covering her mouth immediately, but Sapphire's laughter rang out. "PFFFT, that's hilarious. You have a little verbal tick," she teased. "Shut up, Naruko stammered, flustered, as Mimi nuzzled her for comfort. Torchic was giggling along too, its small wings flapping in amusement. Eventually, the two promised to only lose to one another before parting ways, but Sapphire couldn't help stealing glances at Naruko as she disappeared into the forest on her way to Petalburg City. "Come on, Mimi, let's train," Naruko said. "I want to show you some of the moves my mom taught me with water-type Pokemon. Chris will join us too." She released a sparkling Diancie from her cherished ball. Diancie. The pink gem Pokemon floated gracefully, twirling in excitement before nuzzling Naruko's shoulder. "Are you ready for some training, Chris and Mimi?" Naruko asked. The two Pokemon eagerly nodded. "Great. Let's start, and I'll join in too. I can't let you two outshine me just yet." Hidden in the bushes, a girl adjusted her glasses and crouched beside a Honedge. "Relax, Honedge. It's just me," she whispered. The ghost and steel Pokemon relaxed slightly, but its eyes remained sharp, watching Naruko carefully. The girl couldn't believe her luck, someone actually had a Diancie in Hoenn. Her excitement nearly made her shout when the gem Pokemon created sparkling diamonds midair. She hurried to stay hidden as Naruko trained her Pokemon effortlessly in the sunlight, her black shirt damp from Mimi's water gun. 2 hours later, Naruko patted both Pokemon on the head. Chris and Mimi were exhausted but happy, their training pushing their abilities further than before. Chris could now control her diamonds with precision, and Mimi's strength had increased so much she could knock down small trees in a few hits. Naruko glanced at the sky. "We've still got a few hours left. Are you girls hungry?" Mimi cheered and Chris clapped her gems together in excitement. Naruko quickly gathered berries from nearby bushes, chopping and mixing them into simple Pokemon-friendly meals. Soon, the smell attracted curious wild Pokemon, Zigzagoon, Talo, Puccina, Shroomish, and even a few Ralts peered from the trees. When the food was ready, Naruko smiled warmly. "Go ahead, everyone, enjoy." The wild Pokemon dashed forward to grab berry treats, then scampered back into the forest. Chris and Mimi happily dug into their food, savoring every bite. Mudkip Mud?" Mimi asked, sniffing her sandwich before nibbling it carefully, while Chris's diamonds sparkled with excitement at the feast. Naruko laughed softly, watching her Pokemon enjoy the simple joy of a well-earned meal. It was these little moments, friendship, growth, and laughter, that made her journey truly special. Chris looked at Mimi with a slightly less annoyed expression than she had given the mudfish Pokemon earlier. "DC Diancie D," she said as Mimi took a big bite of the meal her new trainer had carefully prepared. Mudkip's eyes sparkled like stars as she quickly devoured the rest of the food, making Naruko chuckle at the adorable scene with her two Pokemon. Loudred. A loud yell echoed from the forest, followed by the appearance of a large, blue, boxy Pokemon with a stubby nose above a wide mouth. 2 round ears protruded from its head, the insides ringed with black and purple, while the back of its ears were black. Its short arms ended in 3 fingers and its stubby legs in 2 peg-like toes. Each foot bore a yellow circle, and a yellow soundwave pattern decorated its back. Its eyes shimmered a misty purple, reminiscent of a Rhyhorn she had once seen long ago. Naruko pulled out her Pokédex and pointed it at the towering Pokemon. The device chimed a computerized voice, Loudred, the big voice Pokemon. Its bellowing can shake entire houses. It uses its voice to challenge foes. Its round ears serve as loudspeakers, and shock waves from its cries can tip over trucks. It stamps its feet to power up. Gender, female. Level, 20. Moves, Uproar, Stomp, Astonish, Takedown, Hyper Beam. What is a Loudred doing near Petalburg City? They're supposed to be near Rustboro, Naruko murmured, recalling the tales of Whismur evolutions in nearby tunnels. The Loudred's eyes locked onto her, charging forward with a takedown attack. Naruko dived out of the way with her Pokemon in tow as the loud Pokemon crashed into the trees, only growing angrier. Chris, Diamond Storm. Mimi, Water Gun, she commanded. Her Pokemon nodded in unison. Mimi's Water Gun hit Loudred squarely, unbalancing it, and Chris's Diamond Storm sent it tumbling into the trees. But Loudred wasn't finished, stomping the ground, it unleashed a deafening uproar. Naruko and her Pokemon covered their ears. Mimi, Mud Slap while its mouth is open. Mimi flung mud into Loudred's mouth, making it hack and choke. Furious, its eyes glowed crimson as a hyper beam began forming. Naruko groaned, dodging that attack up close would be tricky. Chespin, Vine Whip. Green vines shot out, wrapping behind Loudred's ears and forcing it to aim its hyper beam skyward. Taking the chance, Chris and Mimi unleashed a combined Moonblast and Water Gun attack, the energies merging into a dazzling pink and white stream. Loudred staggered. Loudred, it whimpered, falling back into the grass. Naruko approached and gently nudged it. Its eyes fluttered open, it was calm now. "Are you okay?" A gentle female voice called from the trees. A girl with short black hair and sparkling blue eyes appeared, wearing glasses. She had a green vest over a black tank top, blue jeans, and a white feather necklace. At her side were two Pokémon, a bipedal green hedgehog with horns and a floating sword with a face like guard. Naruko smiled warmly. "I'm Naruko Uzumaki. These are my Pokémon, Chris and Mimi." Mimi waved a fin in greeting while Chris huffed dramatically, clearly unimpressed. "I'm Millis," the girl said, introducing herself and her Pokémon, Chespin and Honedge. Naruko tilted her head, curious. "Chespin and Honedge are from Kalos, what brings you to Hoenn?" Millis shrugged. "I heard about a treasure hidden somewhere in Hoenn. Each city holds a clue, and together they lead to it. The legend says it grants the deepest desire in your heart. My mother began her journey here before meeting my father. I want to follow her path." Naruko's heart swelled. She understood what it felt like to wonder about family and belonging. "That's amazing," she said softly. "So, tell me more about yourself?" "I'm Naruko Uzumaki, future champion of Hoenn, and one day the strongest trainer in the world. I love Pokémon and want to surpass both my parents and my sister," she said proudly, only to be bowled over by an overexcited Chris and Mimi. "Your Pokémon are healed," Nurse Joy said with a warm smile, watching the chaos with amusement. Millis laughed, watching her Chespin tug at her sleeve, clearly ready to join in the fun. "So, Naruko, you're challenging gym leaders across Hoenn?" Millis asked. Naruko nodded. Millis hesitated, then said, "Do you mind if I join you?" Naruko thought for a moment. "Not at all. Besides, Chris and Mimi already like you." Mimi chirped her agreement while Chris shot Millis a suspicious glare. Just then, the Pokémon Center doors burst open. Trainers rushed in, clutching injured Pokémon. The mother Nurse Joy immediately tended to them, mumbling diagnoses under her breath, while the daughter, Sonia, scolded the trainers. "What Pokémon is causing all this trouble?" Naruko asked, curious. Sonia sighed. "It's a very special Pokémon, abandoned in Petalburg Forest. It trusts no one but me and my Chansey. Trainers who try to catch it usually fail miserably." Naruko clenched her fists. "Releasing an injured Pokémon is wrong. I want to help it." Millis's brow furrowed. "Are you sure? It doesn't trust strangers." "I'll find a way," Naruko said determinedly, running ahead, Millis following close behind. About 10 minutes later, they reached a clearing. A small Pokémon in a white dress stood in the center, blue hair in a bowl shape, one orange horn on its head. It was surrounded by trainers trying to command Zigzagoon and Puccina. Naruko checked her Pokédex, Ralts, the feeling Pokémon. It senses emotions through its horn and approaches only if it senses a positive heart. The Ralts defended itself skillfully, blocking attacks with shields of confused Pokémon and using Ice Punch to make the ground slippery. Trainers retreated, leaving it alone. Naruko knelt gently near Ralts. "So you're the one protecting yourself. Don't worry, I won't hurt you." She patted the spot beside her for Millis and their Pokémon. The Ralts tilted its head, eyes curious but cautious. Chris floated closer, Mimi hopping happily, and Naruko whispered, "It's okay. We just want to be friends." Ralts relaxed slightly. Naruko's heart swelled. Sometimes, the gentlest actions spoke louder than words. "Ralts! Ra Ralts!" The shiny feeling Pokémon shouted, charging toward the redhead with a flurry of elemental punches. How could this trainer ask such a question now? His first trainer had seemed kind at first, but everything changed after he lost a match against Norman, the Petalburg City gym leader. That trainer had tossed him aside with an ultimatum, either come back stronger in a week or never return at all. Ralts had chosen to train. She had ventured deep into the forest, practicing her attacks and sharpening her speed until her limbs moved like lightning. When she returned a week later, her trainer seemed happy for a few hours. But then, by sheer accident, they stumbled into a nest of shroomish led by a very strong Breloom. One misstep later, Ralts was poisoned by a powder attack. Her trainer's words had stung. "I can't believe I brought you back. You were useless before, and now you're just dragging me down. So, see you later, waste of space." Ralts' tears flowed freely. For a Pokémon known for her empathy, this kind of pain cut deep. Yet, the forest had its own kindness. The Breloom and Shroomish, sensing her struggle, helped guide her to the Pokémon Center, where the kind, pink-haired lady and her cheerful Chansey healed all who were hurt. Even so, Ralt's trust had been shaken. Trainers often chased after her, and not all were gentle. How about a deal? The redhead said gently, kneeling to Ralt's level. If we battle and I win, you'll come with me and meet my friends. I'll show you that not all trainers are mean. And if you win, I promise no trainer will ever bother you again. Ralts hesitated, considering the offer. The redhead continued, if you don't take this bet, you might evolve soon, and it won't be the way you'd want. Ralts. The feeling Pokemon called, taking her stance. Next to Naruko floated Chris, a tiny jewel Pokemon with sparkling eyes, ready to battle. Alright, Mimi, are you ready? Naruko asked. Mudkip. The water Pokemon leapt forward, shielding the redhead with a determined gaze. Ralt's eyes glimmered with uncertainty, but she wasn't afraid, she was curious. Chris puffed her chest out and pointed at the two Pokemon with exaggerated tears in her eyes. Diancie DDC Diancie. Naruko chuckled nervously, holding her hands up. Well, you are really strong, so battling like this will be good practice for Mimi. Diancie's fake tears started to glimmer for real, and she sniffled dramatically. How about I give you poffins tonight? Naruko offered, smiling. Diancie? Chris peeked cautiously from behind her sleeve. Fine, that too, Naruko said with a grin. Alright, Mimi. Water gun. Mimi blasted a jet of water toward Ralts, who gracefully dodged. She countered with a thunder punch, quick as a flash. Mimi twisted away just in time and kicked a mound of mud at the shiny feeling Pokemon. Ralts, cried the Pokemon, wiping mud from her eyes. But the attack left her open, and Mimi tackled her gently, sending her sliding along the ground. Millis, watching from nearby, noted silently, she's quick, and the redhead's training is remarkable. This battle will be harder than I thought. Good job. Now, water gun again, Naruko commanded. Mimi released another stream, but Ralts focused, using her confusion to redirect it back. The water hit Mimi with a soft splash, but she bounced back immediately and landed a thunder punch on Ralts. Mimi, water pulse. Naruko ordered, and a shining orb of water formed in front of Mimi. She slammed it onto the ground, creating a gentle tidal wave that sent Ralts tumbling. The feeling Pokemon landed on the soft earth, dazed but unharmed. Mimi ran over and nuzzled her gently. Naruko scooped up Mimi in a warm hug. You used water pulse in your first battle, you were amazing. Mimi sighed in happiness, and Chris puffed her cheeks in playful admiration. Naruko then walked over to Ralts, who looked up with wary eyes. Don't worry, Naruko said softly, lifting her carefully. I'm going to take you to the Pokemon Center. Nurse Joy will make sure you're all better. Millis asked, curious, are you going to catch her? Naruko shook her head, scratching the back of her head. Not yet. If I catch her while she's down, she might not trust me. And I'd feel bad. So, I'll let her rest first. Millis giggled quietly, thinking, she's a softie, and so kind, Dada Bane. Together, Naruko and Ralts walked toward the Pokemon Center, a bond quietly forming between trainer and Pokemon, one built on trust, care, and the gentle promise of friendship. Pokemon Center, a few minutes later. Ralts's eyes fluttered open, and she looked around, trying to make sense of where she was. The shiny Pokemon blinked at the bright ceiling and realized she was lying on a hospital bed. With a soft grunt, she hopped off and padded to the door, curious to explore. I didn't think it would feel right to catch Ralts while she still held doubts about trainers, came a gentle voice from Nurse Joy's room. Ralts's ears perked up, this must be the trainer with the mudkip that had faced her before. With Naruko, Millis, and Nurse Joy. Rika leaned close to Naruko, eyes sharp but kind. So you're saying that if Ralts wanted to be free, you would let her go, even if you might never find another shiny Ralts again? Naruko met her gaze steadily, a small, confident smile on her lips. Yes. I would. The room went quiet. Sonia stepped forward and gave Naruko a quick, sisterly peck on the forehead, while Chris looked like she might bury Nurse Joy in a pile of sparkling diamonds. I wish there were more trainers like you, she said softly. You have something rare, something that makes me trust you. At that moment, the door creaked open, and Ralts walked over to Naruko's backpack, skipping lightly. She dug around until she found exactly what she was looking for, a pure white Pokeball with a single crimson line. Crossing her arms, she tapped the center of the premier ball. Shake. 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 Clink. Naruko's eyes sparkled as she picked it up. Welcome to the family, Saber. Mimi cheered for the joy of a new friendship, while Chris smiled quietly, relieved that it wasn't another girl joining the group. That night, Naruko slept peacefully, with Chris resting near her shoulder, Mimi by her head, and Saber curled up at her feet. Meanwhile, her roommate Millis was still awake, legs kicking gently as she scribbled in a small notebook. Check, check, check. Phase 1 complete, Millis whispered to herself. The next day, Naruko and Millis waved goodbye to Sonia and her mother. If I were 10 years younger, I'd rock that young trainer's world, Sonia's mother teased, eyes twinkling. Mother! Sonia shrieked, turning bright cherry red. Her mother just smiled. What's not to like? He's kind, cares about Pokemon. By the way, do you have a boyfriend yet? I think I've found a great candidate. Mother. In Petalburg Forest. So Millis, what treasure is in Rustboro City? Naruko asked curiously. Millis tapped her chin. It's called the Genie's Hole. It's a dimensional portal that can move anything anywhere. No one really knows where it is, but the legend says only those worthy can find it in the Tunnel of Noise. Well, that's helpful, Naruko said, grinning. There are like 4 tunnels in Rustboro alone. How about I help you find it after my gym battle? Millis shrugged. Sure, not like it's going anywhere. Before Naruko could reply, a man in a white lab coat bumped into her. Hey! What the? She exclaimed, rubbing the top of her head. Help! I'm being chased by 2 goons. The man cried, hiding behind Millis. 2 men in odd uniforms approached. One wore red with a volcano emblem, the other wore a blue pirate outfit with a small goatee. All right, that's far enough. The man in red barked. Give me the Devon goods. The pirate yelled. Out of my way, you sea-loving scoundrel, Red shouted. Make me, land-hugging buffoon. The pirate snapped back. Hey, Naruko yelled, stepping forward. You're both ridiculous. How about you take a time out and rethink your life choices? The 2 grunts scowled, drawing circles on the ground with little storm clouds above their heads. Millis muttered, impressed. Wow, that was harsh. The Pokemon battle. The grunts released their Puccina, growling fiercely. Come on, Saber. Naruko called, and the shiny Ralts appeared, glowing softly. Chespin, let's go. Millis cheered, sending her Pokemon into action. Ralts used confusion and then slammed the Puccina with Fire Punch and Ice Punch, sending them flying. Chespin rolled into a ball with Rollout, knocking the other Puccina off balance. Great job, Saber, Naruko said, giving her a high five. Millis hugged Chespin. The 2 grunts growled and charged again, but Naruko was ready. With a clever maneuver, she toppled them both without harm, flipping onto her feet with a grin. Rustboro is only about 30 minutes away, Naruko said cheerfully. Millis, Saber, and Chespin followed, wide-eyed at her skill and confidence. Atop a nearby tree, a figure held a Whismur in her arms, watching in awe. Could she be? The figure wondered, leaving the thought unfinished. The Whismur chirped, gaining her attention. I think we may have found a hero, the figure whispered, smiling. This is going to be an exciting journey. That's all for today, everyone. Stay tuned, there's more on the way. Thanks for your support, much love. Anime Octopus.